Hey, so I wanted to talk about a little story that happened yesterday and the energy attached to it. So I got up yesterday morning and said, all right, universe, help me out here. I need to start making some content so I can start giving some tools, some examples, and all that good stuff. And the universe delivered, as it always does. So maybe 20 minutes after I kind of put that out to the universe, I got a phone call. And it was somebody that I haven't talked to in a couple of months, somebody that I've kind of backburnered a little bit. Lovely person, but they love to spin in the negative and they are always in the complaining energy. And that really doesn't work for me. It really doesn't align with me. So, right off the hop, this person is dumping all of the negative on me. And this is New Year's Eve, there should be some happy in the holidays with the kids, with something. Anyways, I let them go for a couple of minutes and then said, okay, that kind of sucks. Like, what's the positive going on in your life? And that instantly flipped the conversation because this person knows that I'm going to do this to them. And they get through their happy, and then the question is, so, are you going to tell me your life is all sunshine and rainbows? And I said, no, I actually went through some pretty heavy stuff just a couple months ago, and they were pretty shocked. And I said, but I'm just not dwelling there. So this is the positive that's going on. Anyways, I moved through my day, and a few hours later, I am again confronted with somebody who just wants to complain. And I mean, this was almost over the top to the point where I was like, all right, universe, message received. This is what I'll be talking about. There's nothing wrong with delivering information. So let me clarify that point. And this morning I had someone really kind of drive that point home for me and show just how important it is to be able to tell people you care about what's going on in your life without spinning out in negativity. So this morning I received a phone call from someone who has spent the last week and a half in the hospital, surprise surgery, 2 more botched surgeries, or the first one got botched and then there was 2 more to correct it. They're still in the hospital. They had all kinds of stuff planned that just kind of blew apart over the holidays for them. They were simply relaying the information. The person was somewhat upbeat, all considered. And once the information was relayed, like, this is the situation that I'm going through, then it switched to like, this is kind of what happened over Christmas, and focusing on the positive and the wonderful. And it really does make a difference on where you're placing your focus. So back to the other individuals, because the universe really kind of whopped me on this one yesterday. So I'm in a situation, there's a person that's complain, and I point out, here is where you have power. Here is action you need to take so that some of this can begin to get resolved for you. This person had no interest in resolution. So at that point, I just disengaged from the conversation. And they circled back, probably 3 or 4 times with their complaints again and again, trying to come at me, and just, thank you, universe, for giving me that experience, because it is definitely something to talk about. Anyways, after that happened, there was yet another individual complaining about winter driving and how slippery, slushy the roads are, that they bumped a curb, very much in like, oh, poor me energy. And I asked, do you have snow tires? And instantly the conversation dissolved, the complaints dissolved. there is, sorry, it looks like we're getting a visit from Tally here. There is energy attached to complaining. And that energy, it instantly puts you in quantum entanglement with victimhood. I'm not talking about delivering the information. You have a bad day, you need to talk through it to one person, to two people, to journal about it, to actually work through it. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you are rehashing and reliving and dumping your garbage on any and everybody who will listen, because this is a way that you learned when in childhood to communicate and to bond over your perceived slights and traumas, cool. But like, you are wallowing in victim energy. And if you want to be creating your reality from that space of victimhood, that's your choice. Personally, I prefer to stay out of victimhood as much as possible. And a lot of you out there probably don't even realize that when these people are buzzing around you with the complaints and you've cleared it out of your own field and you're really not in that energy, but they keep showing up with their complaints and airing all their stuff. What is that and why? Well, it's because you're holding the opposite frequency inside, where you need to be the rescuer or the fixer. So let that one land. This is something I've personally experienced, right? I need to be the rescuer. I need to be the fixer. People come and but not just that, it's that holding space, right? You're a good person when you're holding space for people to air all their dirty laundry. No, actually, you're enabling them to keep spinning in that energy. And when they are creating those quantum entanglements, you want to complain, you are absolutely going to put yourself in victimhood. While you listening to them rehashing all of this and complaining, what does that do? It actually puts them farther into victimhood and farther into that reality. And it keeps you listening to it. So whether you're doing the complaining, whether you're listening to the complaining, you just need to start to pay attention, catch yourself, kind of hold space for you, like, why do you want to listen to people complaining about their stuff? And yeah, I know it's part of the human experience at times that people, oh, that person did this and this happened and this is broken and this isn't fixed. But that doesn't need to be your experience if you don't want it to be. So recognizing, when you yourself are in that victimhood energy, you are outsourcing your sovereignty to whoever you're placing yourself in victim energy for. So that's kind of not fun. And you're creating distortion within your field. So when we're talking from a place of quantum field coherence, mind, body, soul, thoughts, emotions, your energy connecting to source energy, all of these things need to be beautifully aligned to help you get more of that life source energy to create your reality. When you are sitting in victimhood, you are cutting yourself off and you are limiting. You're creating these distortions in your field that are actually going to take away from the things you want to create. So up to you. Step into your empowerment, sit in your victimhood. These are choices. They're all valid choices. We've all made both choices at some point. I just would like to help you to start to step into it. And, kind of the best way is catching yourself. When am I complaining? And can I kind of start to stop that? When am I holding space for somebody who just wants to dump garbage or complain? Because in those moments, that holding space, it's a fawn, right? Flight, fear, your fear responses. It's a fawn where you're holding that space and you're the good guy, you're the good listener. but energetically you're taking on stuff you really don't want to. So, you can redirect people, let them run their course with their complaints. Okay, cool. I listened to that. What positive is going on? So there's the redirection. You can flat out tell them like, hey, you complain a lot. I did that. It was not well received. Truth teller here doesn't always say the things that people want to hear, and not always the greatest with sugarcoating stuff. But it did stop it. It has changed the conversation. So, I mean, yeah, it was uncomfortable for a moment, but kind of an effective boundary when you look at it. And then there's, like, hey, and I've used this as well, like, can we have solution-based conversations when it's people that just want to go on about garbage? And it starts to shift them because it makes them uncomfortable when you're basically calling out their behavior and getting yourself out of that fixer, rescuer, being a good person, holding space. None of these things actually help you. They keep you locked in lower vibrational frequencies because they are codependent habits you learned as a child on how to survive and fit in and make friends and all of this stuff, right? It's how we learn to play the rules that kept us small and kept us safe. Well, guess what? We're done with all that. That's not the direction this planet is moving in anymore. Unless you want to. And that's cool. But there is a timeline split that is happening. And if you want to keep living in whatever space you want, that's your choice. I'm here to help you connect to your authenticity, to get your quantum field coherence nice and beautiful and shiny and together so that you can build your dreams, your wonderful dream life. So here's the tools. Do with them as you choose, my friends.